Today we are joined by Ray, a Mexican and Dutch painter, illustrator, and animator who's created hundreds of pieces and has been showcased at numerous exhibits around the world. His works are very experimental and chaotic in nature and revolve around his life experiences and fascination for individual human expression. Good morning, Ray. How are you, my friend?
GM, good morning. Can you hear me?
I could hear you loud and clear. Are you still traveling, Ray?
Yeah, I'm in Japan right now. It's 12 o'clock at night.
Oh my goodness.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so sorry to have that time difference. I won't keep you up too long, I promise. But I hope your travels have been well. Japan's awesome. I've always wanted to go, just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, I hope you've been having a great time out there.
Oh, it's a different dimension. It's the contrast between continents. It's crazy, and I've never been to Asia before, so everything is so different, and it's a strange experience. Like every other city, it has daytime. Tokyo is so different from nighttime Tokyo. It's I've seen both the good and the bad, and that's always something that's interesting to see. And my work all revolves around contrast and duality. So this is very interesting, and it's been a great experience so far.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I'm sure you're going to take a lot of inspiration from your travels and put it back into your artworks. Are you there for pleasure, or is it for business, or?
No, this is all for experience, just to grow as an artist and to get to know new cultures.
I love that. What's your favorite part so far?
The contrast between nightlife and daytime Japan. It's
how would you describe the contrast there?
Well, daytime Japan is like Japanese people are incredibly nice. They are so polite, and it's like it almost feels like the world doesn't deserve Japan because they're so good and they're so advanced in their manners and cleanliness and everything. But then you have the dark side of every city, and it's a strange contrast to see how people at the daytime are always smiling and always polite, and at the nighttime they're always like they're finding ways to cope with the stress of life in the city. And this is very interesting to see, but it's also very understandable, very human as well. So I would say the thing I love most about traveling in general is getting to know a culture, both the good and the bad. And it's just understanding that we're all humans and that we all react different to experiences such as the life in a city. It's hard to describe, but I always use this as inspiration for everything I do in my works.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Japan is super nice, man. I agree that sometimes we don't deserve it. It's always funny whenever I watch, the Olympics or any sort of sports game that involves, Japanese players. And they're always staying until, after the game, like cleaning up the stadium, like things you just don't see in like some other cultures. It's awesome how much respect they just have in general. You're spot on with that. But
yeah, definitely,
Ray,
definitely.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Could we get like a quick intro on you and your journey as an artist? Maybe what first drew you to the visual arts as a child, or maybe who or what were some of your earliest influences or inspirations in art?
Yeah, so I grew up in between two cultures because my father is from Mexico, my mother is from the Netherlands, and again, two continents and two different opposing cultures, both in personality-wise and also traditions, weather, food, everything. It's such a strong contrast between Europe and America. So I grew up with duality at the same time, which fascinates me in my work. I grew up in this cauldron of cultural differences. My father is a painter as well, so we always had that cultural element in the family. My father I always used to visit his studio and look at his materials and steal some of his canvases, maybe steal some of his paint, and just start drawing, sketching. I just love the feeling of creating. And my mother was always very culturally inclined, so she was always taking us to exhibitions, to museums, and this is what got me into the interest of just being fascinated by art and expression. And there was always art in the house. There was always music. There was always books about. There was this magazine called Saber, which each week covered new artists. So I was always looking into new art, and it was something that, from the moment I was a child, there was always art around the house. So it was normal to me to be in contact and to talk about art and to look at different ways of expressing the expressive nature of humans. And from there, when I was 10, my father, my mother, my brother, and me moved out to the Netherlands, and this is where I came in contact with the other side, which is the Dutch school of art. You know, the Rembrandts, the Van Goghs, the Mondrian, Karel Appel, all of those other artists. And this kind of completed the circle for me, in which one side you had the Mexican school of art, which is muralism. And there's also Frida Kahlo, of course, Rufino Tamayo. Then there's the Dutch. So this completed the circle between Mexican expressionism and Dutch figurative, and also the more impressionist side of painting. And this is what got me into painting. It was almost meant to be, you know. There was no other way for me to get into art, and it was always there.
Right. Yeah. So you moved from Mexico to the Netherlands when you were 10 years old. That's a pretty young age, and definitely presents a blend of cultural influences. How would you say that, these different cultural experiences, shaped your artistic style or themes?
Oh, because it gave me a different way to look at things. I can look at things from the Mexican side, from the Mexican perspective, but I can also look at things from the Dutch perspective. So when let's say, I lived 10 years in the Netherlands, I studied there, and then I went back to Mexico, but with a different perspective. So now when I got to Mexico, I got to witness the daily rituals, which are normal to Mexican people, and then I got to paint them, because this is what traveling does. It unravels you. It gives you different perspectives on things. Like here in Japan, I see so many things that are normal to Japanese people, but I would love to paint those daily rituals. And this is always something that I valued a lot from traveling. And it was, again, from an early age, traveling from the Netherlands back to Mexico and painting all these different Mexican scenes that to me were so intriguing and fascinating, and for Mexican people were normal. So this is where the Dutch and Mexican influence takes place into my whole vision of looking at things differently.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I really love that. I'm glad you got to get that experience. And just a quick reminder for all of our listeners, I did pin a link at the top there. We are actually in the oncyber gallery right now. So please try and make your way into this gallery so that we can start this tour. It's a really great tour. When you guys get in here and see this gallery, it's going to just blow your mind. I really love what you did with the curation in here. It's something I don't think I've seen, in any gallery before. This is really well done. It's very chaotic and things are just all over the place. And it's so unique, how you kind of placed all this. And if you are having trouble, accessing the gallery on your phone for whatever reason, please try and find a PC or a laptop and get in here, because this is super cool and you don't want to miss it. And, Ray, this is actually one of the first times that we've actually done an artist interview where, the gallery isn't filled with the artist's own artworks. This is more of your own personal collection. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Cool. Yeah. So, I would love to hear more, but first question I guess I want to ask is, how did you decide on the curation and the placements and this kind of crazy look that we have here in this gallery?
It all came natural. I think this gallery represents three things, which to me are nostalgia, the crazy bull market run from 2021, and also a sense of belonging. Because for me, this gallery is also about finding a home. I think humans have an inherent sense of belonging, and I often find myself feeling like an outsider in every place I go to. So during my travels, I like to stop and think about this, and I've come to the realization that the only place that I feel comfortable in is an art studio, and especially one that's alive. So another place where one could feel at home, well, where I feel at home, is a museum or an art exhibition. So I guess this gallery combines both of those aspects. Nostalgia in a sense of when you meet people, they are like shooting stars or fleeting stars. You know, it's an homage that lives briefly, crossing paths and leaving a mark in form of a painting, drawing, illustration, or song. So, in other words, this space is about nostalgia and the fleeting beauty of nature and getting to know people. But the chaotic element came because I wanted a place where I could feel at home. And sometimes you don't think about this, like, where do I feel at home? Sometimes it comes natural, and this whole chaotic setup came natural because that's always what I do with studios, and also the idea behind the gallery is it should be chaos. I think art should be seen not only in museums like well curated spaces, but it also should be seen in the studio setting. You know, the raw and dirty part of art, which is the creation, and everything just thrown on the ground and up on the walls, and just everything crooked. It feels more alive to me than just a stale gallery where everything is just neatly placed. So this is like a cauldron of different things that come into place when creating this gallery.
I love that. It's a beautiful answer, and I love your analogy about, meeting people is like a shooting star. You're so right. So how long have you been using oncyber? This is one of the OG galleries created by a great architect named Wolfgang back in the day, and I think it's been around for a pretty long time. The thing about the oncyber galleries, right, is that a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to be able to own, their own IRL physical gallery. So it's nice to have your own little digital space where, you could really create it however you want. You could really make it your own space, hang up whatever art you want, put in whatever GLBs or sculptures, or even, the actual architecture of the space itself is really open up to your interpretation.
Yeah, this one, I started this gallery when on Cyber. I believe you guys only had 2 galleries, and I remember Vince Ando had at this one gallery that we're seeing in this setup. He had the space full with the Pepe cards, and I was amazed. And I was like, this technology is for me, it was next level. It was a different step. It was, for me, it was brilliant. Like what you can play like in a video game, just go into this digital space and just walk through the paintings. So this is a brilliant idea for Web3, but also for an artist to show his work like a portfolio. Like instead of going to an artist's website and reading his bio, you can visit his gallery and just walk through the paintings as well. So for me, oncyber has always been like very on the forefront of evolution. I still think it's you guys are living in the future, because not many people know how to use oncyber. Web2 people, they're like, what's this? How do I walk? How do I navigate? So it's still fairly new, and the concept, I think, is brilliant. So when I saw this on the Vince Van Gogh oncyber gallery, I thought I need to have one. I need to do this, and I need to give it my own spin. When I started, the controls were different, so it was hard to place the paintings like slanted, and I hadn't seen no one do this before. So I was like, I'm gonna try to do my best to make a chaotic gallery, but at the time it was really hard. So, but you guys are always progressing on this, so now it's very easy to do. But at the time, I remember it was very early on, so it was hard to make the paintings like slanted. It was really it was tough. It took a while, but I was happy with the result, and the community seemed to like it as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for the kind words. And yeah, you were definitely early. I could only imagine, curating this all the way back in the early 2020s when, we've come a long way from then in the creation aspect and just making things easier. But hey, it turned out great. It looks amazing. Without further ado, do you kind of want to start walking through some of these sections of the galleries, maybe looking at different artworks that are important to you? And which avatar are you, by the way, so that people are following the correct one? Are you
Let me
just the
see.
default one?
Yeah, I'm the default. Let me try to log in.
Okay.
Let me see. It should change.
Oh, there you go. There's the MFer.
Oh yeah, there's the MF, right?
Oh, the zombie MFer. Very nice. All right, guys, make sure you follow the zombie as we begin this guided tour through this amazing and chaotic gallery.
Yeah, the gallery is not really curated because that's what I wanted to do. Like when you create a studio, an art studio, it's not really a curation. It's just things that happen. You just place a canvas for a reason just in the corner just to make space to work on a different work of art. So this is the idea I wanted to create. Furthermore, it was like this gallery should be seen as a self-portrait of the artist. It's more, this gallery is, it's more akin to a grotto of a scavenger of personal treasures, or maybe even a crow's nest, in contrast to other galleries that feel more like some sort of dragon's lair filled with silver and gold and very precious works of art. This chaotic gallery it's like a look inside my head and again a tribute to fleeting stars. So without further ado, let's start the tour. These are just works I love. Expressionist. I've always been drawn to expressionism and to the theme of life and death. So there's a lot of skulls in there. There's a lot of good versus evil. And also the theme of chaos comes along. These are some works by Neurocolor Mexican artists, Mojarra, David. These are three great Mexican artists. This is actually a collaboration they did with Xcopy. And here on the floor you find some of my crazy boots that I created in collaboration with Remix. This I created like a glitch room where you can where I play some crazy glitching artworks.
Sorry to cut you off. Could we just talk about these boots for a second? This is so cool, and I love how they're 3D GLB. They really give you a feel for what you're looking at here. Can you tell me a bit about that collab you did?
Well, yeah, this was also something that was next level to me. The guys at Remix reached out, and Vamp, Vamp is a Web3 shoe company. So this is also very innovative, but they make physical shoes, but on the Web3 space, they only focus on digital ones. So this is what we came up with. I made some sketches, and the guys did their very best to replicate the works, and they did a fantastic job with the boots. And when I placed them in the Oncyber gallery, my mind was blown when I saw they came to life. They were really, the 3D boots were alive, and they to me resemble more like a sculpture than actual boots. So I thought they looked pretty cool. We did like a drop, and each boot has different color schemes because what Remix does is remix. They remix the colors, they remix the feel of the boot. So every boot was like a one of one. So that was pretty cool to do, and to look at them on Cyber like a sculpture it's pretty neat.
Yeah, they look awesome. We need to get these, in physical production. Send out a pair for you. These are badass. Or maybe attach them to your VRM in some sort of way. That's so good.
Yeah, I've heard they were actually, there were plans to make this like a physical. I will catch up on that, but I think that would be pretty cool to make some crazy boots like this.
Is that some spiky alpha that you're sharing for the guests here?
Maybe I don't know. I have to be careful with the word alpha because people start to.
That's right.
Ask me everything.
But yes, okay. So we're in this beautiful glitch room. I love what you've done with the ceiling here as well and the floor.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to make some artistic wallpaper, and but at the same time, it shouldn't be just like wallpaper. It should be an artwork in itself. So uh, glitch art it's a genre between in crypto art. So I thought we should have a room as a tribute to glitch art and to just crazy animations. I don't know. I just love expressionist works, and I love expressionist animations as works. So we see here like Love being Caspar Hen, which is a great artist. This one's by Tommaso. He's a painter, but he animates his paintings. And I believe this one's from Manic, and this one's from Super Trip, which is an incredible artist. And he also creates a video game, which is also next level. I love just people doing their own things, and we're all coming together in this space as degens, artists, and just people who like to experiment and take things to the next level.
Yeah, I also love this piece from Super Trip, and the video game is so fun. Played it with a couple of the guys, and it's really crazy to see, where he's taken it. Super cool. If you could, do you have any could you share with us, some of the first pieces of art that you collected from other artists, whether it's in this glitch room or somewhere else in the gallery, but maybe what drew you to those particular pieces for your first ones in the collection?
Ooh, let me think. It's in Web3 terms, it's ages ago. So I would have to think about what the first piece.
Doesn't have to be the very first one, but maybe some of the earlier ones.
Yeah, the earlier ones were like things I used to trade with people. So I would have like work of art, and I trade one edition for one of your editions. So the earliest ones will probably be around. Let me see. This is the first piece I collected on Foundation from Hamex Art. I remember.
Slaughterpunk 5?
Yeah, the collector, just collecting and burning things over and over again. I thought that was pretty cool. And it was the first time I placed a bid on Foundation, which is like a memorable experience. Because it to me opened the doors that collectors could be artists and artists could be collectors, which again, it destroyed like this apparent rivalry there always is between collectors and artists. And here in this space, it was for a brief time artists and collectors came together in the same spirit. And this is what I love about Web3, that we're all the same. We're not different. Yeah, in my experience with real life galleries and real life collectors, it's always been like this elitism, and you can't really talk directly to the collector as if it were a friend. And in this space, we're all the same. So this is what this piece means to me, like my journey into being a collector and seeing things from a collector perspective as well. So that's interesting as well.
Yeah, I love that. It should never be, artists versus collectors. We all need to be unified, right?
Exactly.
And so you said you'd purchased this piece. I know you said back in the earlier days you were kind of trading, like you'll trade one of yours for another one.
Exactly.
Nice. Do you have maybe like a criteria that you use when you're selecting works to add to your collection? Are there maybe any specific qualities or themes that you look for?
No, I look. What I look for is the honesty, but it's more like it's not about aesthetic as much as it is about the purity of the artist's intentions. So to me, it has to ring true to the artist, to whoever that person is. It has to be real. It doesn't has to feel fake. So that's what I try to look for, just works that strike me directly, and also works that feel real to the personality of the artist.
I love that. Could you touch on that a bit more? How do you judge whether a piece shows honesty or not?
I think when an artist touches subjects that are just special to them, instead of touching subjects that are special for the community. So there are two types of works. You can make works from your own fascinations, and you can make works that speak to the Web3 community. Both are fine, Like I create Each year I try to create like a class, the class of 2022, the class of 2023, and those are works that people like because they see themselves in the works and they see the community, and it's something that's much bigger than the artist. But what I look for is more works that are just meaningful just to the artist, not to the community, but just speak to the artist. And it's like sharing, being part of the artist's journey, just saying, hey, I believe in you, I love your work, I love to see where you're going with this, and I just like to have this piece of your soul. Those are the works I look for.
I love that. Are there any pieces in your collection that have, significantly influenced your own artistic style or approach?
I think each work you collect as an artist makes you see things from a different perspective. But to be more specific, it's like this piece from Crimson Rider. It's just so freaking raw. Just the president just bleeding out of his mouth. That's insane, So it inspires me to go a step beyond in the expression and being the freedom of my works, and how the community appreciates just crazy stuff and experimentation. You don't have to. You can show blood. You can show someone's head exploding, and people are going to be cool. This is interesting. This is. They are not afraid of this. I remember doing some exhibitions in the Netherlands, and people were afraid of going into the gallery. So I would invite them, and they would be scared to go inside because the paintings were they were expressive in nature. So I thought this is something very beautiful about the NFT and crypto art space, that you can showcase whatever subject you want, and people are gonna be open to it. That's another beautiful thing about this community, is just the openness of everything.
I love that. Yeah, this piece is great. Do you have a favorite maybe style of art that you are particularly attracted to? Whether it's like animated pieces or...
No, I don't like to think in terms of favorite, because having favorite discredits the poetry of the art. Each work is a different story told by a different person, and they are different for a reason. Having a favorite would mean these stories belong in the same universe, which in my eyes they don't. Your life and my life are both lives, but upon closer inspection, they are an entirely different cosmos.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at art. Do you tend to do that with other things in your life? Maybe with food? Do you have a favorite food, or do you only look at that view with kind of artwork?
It's interesting. I only look at this aspect with art, but food. Of course, there are things that you like and you don't like, but it's personal. And I don't like my opinions of what I like and what I don't like to interfere with other people's perspective on the art. So when you say, "Oh, this is an ugly piece of work," and somebody else likes it, and you immediately are censoring their opinion and their thoughts about what they like. So I most of the times I just like to keep my opinions to myself, and to say everything is art. Let's get the argument out of the way. Let's get this: what is art, what isn't art. Let's say everything is art. But personally, there's good art, bad art, but that's entirely personal. So I don't like to make favorites. And in food, food is also an art as well. So you can debate on that as well.
Yeah, totally. But no, that's a great point of view. I like it. I like that you look at it that way. I like to say that, everyone's an artist, and yeah, art is extremely subjective. Someone might love something, someone might hate it, but that's just the nature of it. But very interesting. I like your perspective on that.
I think so too. I think everything is art, and everyone can be an artist. And this is exactly the reason why I like to collect from maybe smaller unknown artists, because if you look at some of the big collectors, they only like to collect like bigger names. It's like making an investment. It's understandable, but sometimes it lacks, like it creates an elitism. It creates like this barrier for smaller artists. Instead of saying, okay, I have an X copy and I put this unknown artist next to it to elevate it, they're like, no, X copy and another big artist Beeple next to it, and it's like, no, this shouldn't be the way. I think the way should be like, okay, you have an X copy, place an unknown artist next to it, so it creates the same value, so people can see there's the same artistic value in an unknown artist work that left the space 2 years ago that there is in an X copy piece. So this is something that I like to showcase as well in my art, or in my collecting style. Just there are no limits. I like to collect from people who have left the space. I like to collect from people who are still here. I don't like to discriminate because the art should speak for itself.
Well said, my friend. I think it's super important to, shine a light and spotlight all the newer and upcoming artists, as well as the traditional ones. Do you maybe have how do you go about discovering new artists to add to your collection? Do you have maybe a particular process or sources you rely on to discover them?
No, my eyes only. I like to.
My eyes only. I love that.
Eyes. So when you look up, the way I walk through a museum is really fast. So I just start and walk and walk and walk, and when something catches my eye, I stop. And when something doesn't, I just walk past, and I stop until the next time I visit a museum. And that's the way I look at collecting art as well. So I'm just doom scrolling through Twitter, and if something catches my eye, I stop and I comment. I try to retweet and just maybe collect if it's for sale and I have some ETH. I do my best to. I don't look at artists like, okay, this is a product. I'm gonna look, okay, what's his link tree? What's his Instagram? How many followers does he have? I don't care about all of that. I just want to know about the work, and I don't care about all of the. I don't buy to invest like, oh, this is an investment. I'm buying just because this is a collection of moments. This is what I love to do. This is what collecting is all about. I'm not planning on selling anything of these artworks.
Yeah, I love that. Twitter has so much great discoverability for artists. It could get a little hectic, after you start following more accounts, the algorithm starts algorithming, and sometimes it could be a little hard to find yourself discovering new artists on the regular. Do you ever catch yourself just browsing marketplaces and discovering artists that way?
Yes, sometimes I do. Sometimes I go to Super Rare or sometimes Foundation, and I just like to scroll. It used to be easier, but now it's on Twitter as well. But now it's suddenly the algorithms are giving people a hard time to see different persons. So what I do is I have a list of like 100 different usernames, and I just like to copy paste and go to those profiles and just see what they are retweeting, and that's for me the easiest way to discover new artists.
Yeah, I love that process. I know Twitter has that list feature where you could put like a bunch of different users in a category, and then like if you go to that particular timeline, you see that. So it's a good shout out if you're trying to get more art into your eyes, is to make like a dedicated list full of accounts that post art, and definitely helps with visibility there.
Oh yeah, I just love to have a list of my friends and just go randomly pick 10 of them and just see what they are doing. And because sometimes Twitter has the ability just to censor people, especially if they haven't paid like the $8 or something for the blue check mark. So I like to just hang around in Twitter and see what all my friends are doing.
I agree, but I know we are. I could talk about this forever with you. You're very well spoken, by the way. I really appreciate the conversation. But is there anything else in this portion of the gallery that we could touch on? I do know that you have a portal that links out to a gallery with some of your own artworks in there, and I want to make sure that we have time to go take a look in there as well.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's a very old gallery. This is the studio. Yeah, this is one I created a long time ago, just to have some of my works for. I think oncyber it's beautiful as a website, that you go to your personal website and it's like the best business card. So here's my artwork and you can scroll through it. But I've done this a couple of times with different people, Web2 people, and they sometimes have a hard time understanding how to move and everything. But I think people who are used to video games and everything like this, they're catching on. So it's just a matter of time before artist websites all look like oncyber, I think.
Yes, I love that you could create, the really unique immersive experience to display your art in, and it's only going to get easier over time. I don't know if you've entered the portal yet, but could we talk about this room that we're in first? I know Zom_ETH asked, these are all Ray portraits in here. I noticed that. Yeah, these are all you at the end of the day.
Yeah, this is like a small room of memories, just friends I've made along the way, and it's always good to remember all the people who were there and who, like I said, fleeting moments, fleeting stars. That you cross paths, you may never see them again, but there's a trace of the shooting star, and this is what I like to collect, just these moments, and these are the friends that I like to go back to and to see what they're up to. And this is again a tribute to the bull market of 2021, when everything went crazy and everyone started collecting from each other. It was beautiful. And people started making tributes to one another. I think that's beautiful, and this is a tribute for me to remember all the good times and all the great people in this space.
I love that. And just a quick reminder for everybody that's just now joining in, we are in World looking at Ray's gallery. So I've pinned the link to the top of our spaces there. Make sure you come and join us as we go through all of these artworks together. We've got quite a few people in here now, and it's just so fun seeing everybody grouped up around a piece of artwork. You got MFers in here, you've got punks in here, you got a lot of great people in here. But Ray, is there any other artwork in this main portion of the gallery that you wanted to touch on or look at before we transition over to the next gallery?
Oh, no, that's entirely personal. So everyone, I think, if they want to look around and pick a personal favorite, that's cool, because I like to collect photography. I like to collect digital animations, and there's also the music is from Joey, who's an MFer as well. Very underrated in my opinion, and I love the fact that you can also put music in the gallery. So that's something I just wanted to say. Shout out to Joey.
Shout out to Joey. Love that. I guess one more question that I'll ask you about this gallery. I don't know if you'll be able to give me an answer or not. I know you don't. It's not a particularly favorite type question, but are there any pieces in here that resonate with you on an emotional level?
Yeah, each single piece resonates in a different way. So, for example, this piece was from 4156.
Hold on, I'm trying to find you. I lost you in the crazy gallery.
I'm the big MFer here.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
So this piece is, for example, from 4156, who was the first guy who bought one of my NFTs. I remember him asking like portraits of his punk, which was at the time the 8 punk with the blue bandana. And I created a portrait for him, and he bought it for 1 ETH, and that was my start, because I had no money. So he gave me some ETH to start collecting with and start creating with. So later on, I bought one of his pieces. This one is one of his works, and it's special to me because he was my first collector.
I love that. How did it feel, getting your start in the Web3 world, like making those first couple of sales, like believing in yourself that, people will actually pay a lot of Ethereum for these works? How did that feel at that time?
Insane, because it was COVID. So all my exhibitions were canceled, and the little sales I had were also canceled. So I was struggling. I didn't know what to do. So when suddenly I sold a piece for 1 ETH to this guy, I was mind blown. I would create art for free if I could. I don't. This is not for the money, but money is important to have the options to be able to create art freely without any constrictions. So it was extremely special for me to understand that you could make money selling digital artworks on the blockchain, and that you could also be helpful to other people in their journeys, which I think it's amazing. It's something that you don't see in the traditional art world. Artists buying from other artists, this was unheard of, and I still think it's revolutionary.
Make money doing what you love, and it'll never seem like a job, right?
No, exactly. I would do this for free.
Well, I love that. Do you want to maybe then head into the portal?
Oh yeah, let's go.
Let's step into the portal. All right, right this way, my friends, back into the portraits section of this gallery. For anybody that's not familiar, you just press the E button on this portal and it'll start to open it up. And then about after a second or two, you'll be able to walk into it. And this is when you first enter the gallery, it'll be on the first room on your right-hand side. So let's make our way in there. You know, the thing about this gallery is it was one of the very first original oncyber galleries, right? And I remember just using this, and it was one of my favorite free ones. We offered this as a free template. You know, we obviously had like a bunch of paid templates, but this one just like resonated with me so much. And it's actually discontinued now, sadly. So you have one of the last galleries in this format, my friend. So this is kind of cool.
Oh, that's wild. That's cool. Yeah. That's really cool. I didn't knew that it was discontinued. I thought this was one of the coolest because it was just very. It was like a dystopia. It was like in an abandoned warehouse, which is something I always love to do. Was visit abandoned buildings. So this took me back to all the years that I used to go and roam in abandoned places.
I love that. Yeah,
it was always a dream of mine just to create art in one of those places.
Yeah, totally. This is one of the first galleries I ever curated in oncyber. This had to have been back in 2020.
Yeah, this one goes way back. I remember. Now you have like 100 different galleries, which I think is really cool. I bought one that's like a cave, and I want to expand this one into the cave.
So we have a bunch of, you know, your artworks in here from, you know, you got the super rare collections, the foundations. This is so great. You know, right next to us right here, we have Son of Century. This is something that you had listed on Foundation, I think back in 2021, sold for about 7 ETH. And this is, you know, your visual rendition of the poem, Son of the Century as well. Can you tell us a little bit about this work?
Yes, it was a poem by Abdelatif, and I thought it was a beautiful poem, and I just wanted to make my own rendition and tribute to this piece. It's interesting how you can take words from someone else and just give them your own spin. And to me, Art of Son of the Century was of a loner, of an outsider, of someone who's not normal, who's uncommon. And this is what I felt when I was in the Netherlands. I was always walking alone. I was always creating alone. It was always alone, but not in a like the sad sense of being alone, but it's like in the poetic sense of walking alone through the rain, walking alone through a museum, and just being in your own world and creating your own world, which I think it's art as well, because as soon as you're with people, you start acting like them. And as soon as you're left alone in a different space, in a different environment, you start creating your own reality. And this is what this piece is about, just the own reality, because all the figures, all the monsters, all the creatures you see in this piece were figures I used to draw in a sketchbook while I was attending class. So the only thing I did was doodle, and I took those doodles and I brought them to life in this landscape. So it was like a mindscape of a loner, of someone who was alone but accompanied by his thoughts, ideas, and creations. So that's what the piece to me, the poem and the piece is to me about.
Beautiful piece. That's amazing. I love the animation. I love the bright colors. It's so good, you know. And right next to that, you know, we also have the Gardener of Death, and this is another take on another poem, a Dutch poet Pien van Eyck. I hope I didn't butcher his name, but poetry and visual art both really express deep emotions and ideas. Could you maybe share a little bit about how you integrate poetry in your artwork, maybe the role that poetry plays in your creative process, and maybe how you decide when a piece or its descriptions needs like a poetic element to it?
Yeah, I think poetry is the most underrated form of art and the most important one, because without poetry you can't have any other discipline of art. If you look at photography, what photography is like, it's poetry. Art is poetry. Everything has poetry in it, and it's not appreciated enough because to people it's like only words. But if you look at life and what makes life beautiful, it's poetry. So the way I like to incorporate poetry and like to showcase the beauty of it is through visuals, because this is my realm, is the visual one. I can't write very well, but I can paint. I can paint it. I can visualize it. So this is my contribution to poetry, is like trying to show people the beauty of the words of a poem.
I love that. I really like how you incorporate poetry into your artworks. Just talking about this reminded me of the song. It just popped in my head. Words by the Bee Gees, such a great song about, just the power of words in general. But tell me a little bit about this piece here and kind of the elements and what you've put into it.
From the Gardener and Death?
Yes.
Oh yeah, so it's a story about it's about the main theme is that you can't escape death. Death is inevitable. So this is the poem of a gardener who asks his master if he can live far away to Isfahan, because he saw death on the garden. And as soon as so his master says, okay, you may go, you may go to Isfahan. Once he leaves, the master asks death, like, why did you scare my gardener? And he says, no, I was surprised because this is the guy I have to pick up tonight in Isfahan. So this is a beautiful little poem that tells the story about that death is inevitable. You can't escape it, and even if you try. So the whole story is visualized in this poem. So you see the elements of a mosque. You see the story of the gardener and his master, painted in like the Delft blue style, and you see different things that are akin to vanitas. So you see skulls, you see music, you see flowers, which is the fleeting nature of life.
I love that, and I really like how you kind of match the borders with the artworks too. They all have their custom colors here.
Oh yeah, I thought people always framing their works just black or brown or gold is pretty boring. So it was really cool that oncyber gave you the possibility to just experiment with the frames. I think it adds up to the composition of the work as well. And some ones go better without a frame, and others the frame, what it does is it encapsulates the piece, so it makes it more presentable and special to the viewer.
I agree. We have Swalja in the comments here saying he loves the claymation one, which I love as well. This is the Painter's Portrait, a claymation film that you created, and it's an audio-visual tale about the transformation each artist must go through in order to transcend in his craft. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Is this the first time you've used this kind of style in your works?
Yes, exactly. This was a long time ago. So this was my first animation experience. It was with clay, so it was, and the theme was pretty raw. So it wasn't for everyone. But again, what I was talking about, the nature of Web3 and Web3 artists and Web3 collectors, they are open to these kind of expressions because they understand the underlying message. It's not about the murder or glorifying death or someone sticking a knife in someone else's head. No, it's about the poetry again of an artist creating an alter ego, and that same alter ego taking over and actually killing the artist because the artist has to become his work, has to become his portrait in order to be an artwork, and in order for that artwork to be able to be alive and to be honest. That this was the entire representation of this theme, and I at first I wasn't really sure if I should mint it, but I just did because the community, the community was open to it, and they embraced it, which I thought was really cool. So this led me to create other things like punk rock music and all of that. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm really glad you did mint it. I think it really just shows the range that you have as an artist, and there is background music on it. I don't know if you could hear it from within the gallery, but did you create the music yourself?
Yes, I always create the music behind my works.
So tell me a little bit about, your taste in music. What instruments do you play?
The first instrument I learned to play was guitar. Then I started. No, the first one was drums. Then I started playing guitar. Then I started learning some keyboards and bass, and that's all you need, in my opinion, to be able to create music, is those four instruments, and there's a universe to explore. But I'm always like teaching myself how to do things, because it's like putting someone in a room and not telling them how to do anything, not showing them any way of doing things, and see how they create. That's interesting to me. So I always try to stay away from teachers and just try to grab the instrument and see what I can do, and the best way I can do it. But my taste in music is very varied. I like my main tastes are rock and roll, punk rock. I like country music, blues, rhythm and blues. I like Mexican ballads. I really like good singers. There's something about someone's voice that can connect directly to the soul, and good singers have this quality. Dutch music is also beautiful. So I just like to collect music as well, different sorts of musics, jazz, a lot of things that I like. It's mostly high energy music, I would like to say, and things with a soul.
Well said. Yeah, and I love how you incorporate your own music into your artworks. I think it goes very well together. I see Jules. Jules is standing over here next to your dystopia piece, and then below us we also have On the Road to Web3. This is part of your Revolution series that you minted in 2022. Some limited edition artworks about the crypto art space. You seem to enjoy documenting the crypto art journey from your own perspective, including the creation of your NFT class artworks that you, I think, started in 2021, or maybe it was a little earlier. But how did you come up with the idea of the first NFT class pieces, and how do you manage to select all the people who go into them?
Yeah, the NFT Web3 theme goes automatically, because it's like when I'm in Oaxaca, I paint Oaxaca. When I'm in the Netherlands, I paint Gardener and Death. It's an artist always absorbs his surroundings and then reflects that upon his work. So it's more like you're more like a translator of the things going around you. So when I started doing NFTs and Web3, I started getting into the community, getting to know people, and this was my entire world. So this is what my work started to reflect, the Web3 community. So this one, the first one, was just like a joke, like a tribute to like a Sgt. Pepper's kind of thing, and with the people at that time who helped me on my journey, friends, and the people who were important to me in Web3. And with class of 2022, it started, the family started to grow, and it was a lot more people. In 2023 was even more people. So each class makes me stop and realize that this thing isn't slowing down at all. People are talking about bear market and people leaving the space, but so many people in this space, and there are always new people coming into this space. So it makes those class works make me very bullish on the people in this space, and as you realize, wow, how many people I've met, how many people, how many good characters, how many good people there are in this space, and how many good builders, how many good creators. It's, to me, it's the most bullish thing ever to think about the quality of the people inside this community.
I love that. And there's people leaving and coming into the space all the time. I like to think back on what you were saying earlier about the shooting stars, right? There's always going to be another star that'll shoot by. And are you going to keep creating these? Can we expect the 2024 class soon?
I'm gonna try to. It's always hard because people always get mad at me when I release this. I always get DMs like, "Why aren't I in the class? You think you're so important?" I don't know. It's always like interesting to create the class pieces, because there are a lot of people who are happy and they share the works, but there are also people who start complaining and start hating on the fact that they weren't included in the piece. So it's again the duality. So I will try my best to create another one, but the last one was just insane. It took me like 3 months to create. So it's like, okay, you have to reserve like 3 months or 4 months of your life to create the class piece of 2024. So I always try to give it a different style that people don't expect. So I have some idea of what I'm gonna do for 24. So there's definitely, I'm gonna try if God allows it, and if I'm alive, to create a class of 2024.
I love that. How do you decide what platform to release an artwork on? I know you've got a couple of different ones that you use, Super Rare Foundation, you even use Tezos, OpenSea. How do you decide on that?
Oh, it's all about feeling. It's like smaller collection gifts for my friends. I try to do with Manifold, because I also think they're pushing the envelope and they are respecting artists and the community, which I think it speaks a lot about their integrity. I like Manifold. I haven't minted in Foundation for a while. Super, I also haven't minted, because this next piece I'm creating, I would like to drop with AOTM, which is the gallery that Vincent Van Gogh and Giga Chad and Georgia have, because I haven't dropped anything with them, so I would like to do something special for that.
Shout out to AOTM, great group, and I'm really excited to see what you come up with and what you release with them. Can you kind of tell us a little bit of the background of how you got involved with them?
Oh, Vincent has always been a great collector. He collected some of my early works, and from there we started talking. He's always been very, very supportive. He invited me to participate in some the Fake Rare project. I believe it was season 7 or season 8, with a lot of great artists I admire. And I created this piece. I created 2 pieces. Matt Fury's Nightmare, Pepe Pesadilla, and Pepe Punk Rock. And he liked Pepe Punk Rock so much that he decided to invite me to invite me to the gallery to be a member. So it was an honor. It was, for me, it was something that was missing in the Web3 space, which was a curated gallery run by trustworthy people with integrity, and also looking out for the artists. I thought it was incredible what they did. Also, again, pushing the envelope. You see the quality of people in this space. It's splendid. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Congratulations, by the way. And we have Jules screaming it from the top of his lungs here. Pepe Punk Rock is an absolute grail. Yeah, we need to update your gallery, man. We need to get some of those in here.
Yeah, I haven't touched this gallery in a while, because when I created this one, there was a limit on the amount of works that you could put in a gallery. So when I reached the limit, it was like, okay, I can place anything. But I believe now you can do whatever you want, I believe. So yeah, I should update this, definitely.
In due time. Anytime that you need help with anything, obviously, hit me up on DMs, and we'll get you sorted with a new beautiful gallery. But I know we have a lot of MFers in here. Can we kind of touch on, the crazies and maybe the cranium, some of your prime collections, and hear a little bit about the story there? I know that, crazies came out as the official companion collection to MFers, and it was airdropped to all the MFer holders. It released on 420. How did that collab come about, and kind of what's your relationship with Satoshi like?
Yeah, I remember seeing Sartoshi's first piece on my timeline. It was on Foundation. It was just a doodle, and I thought, this is this is brilliant. It was funny. It was clever. So I thought, I'm gonna place a bid on this piece. And I believe Farouk was one who won the auction. And this is when I started seeing more posts by Sartoshi and more of his artworks, his style of making like comics or cartoons of different things of the NFT space. I think his sense of humor is brilliant. It's very hard to do. It's very hard to capture something in a cartoon. It's something that I've never been able to do, but he does it brilliantly. So I just DM'd him and said, I think your works are splendid. And he thought, oh, I like your works too. And that's how we started just DMing each other. And suddenly the idea for a collab came up, like we should do like a work together someday. And we just kept like just living our lives and to each his own, and we used to talk. And suddenly some MFer said it should be great that Ray is working on some kind of mutant serum like what the apes did for MFers. And I thought that's a pretty cool idea. So I started making some sketches, showed them to Sartoshi, and he was like, yeah, let's do this. But we dropped the mutant, the serum idea, and we just went ahead with the idea, and we started working from them and listening to the community, because people were saying like, I hope Sartoshi drops something on 420. I believe there's something coming on. So we just went with what the community was like asking for or saying, and just did a surprise for the MFers and the community in general, which I think the MFers have the right attitude in the Web3 space. It's like, do what you want. If you want to sell. No one's gonna get mad. If you want to buy. If you want to hold. There's really no. It's really laid back. It's really crypto native, in my opinion, and it's really taking things always with humor and with the possibility of laughing at yourself and laughing at things and embracing the real mask. Because if you look around here, we're all different PFPs, we're all different creatures, but you start asking yourself, what is the mask and what is my real face? Is my real face my avatar, or is my real face the face I use in daily life? And to some extent, the mask, the avatar, is your real you. And I think that's beautiful. The mask is your real face. But I went off theme, but this is something that MFers embrace. I think this is the real personalities is the stick figure. I think that's very funny, and that's also psychologically it's very freeing. It allows you to be yourself, which is important in life.
Yeah, totally. Well said. Shout out to the MFers. I know we have a bunch of MFers listening here. The true embodiment of an amazing community full of magnificent vibes. So yeah, give it up for the MFers, everybody. But tell me a little bit then about the Craniums collection that you spent months releasing that over the course of 2023. How did that come about? I know is that your first animated generative art project?
Yeah, I tried to look for another generative art project to work with, but there was no animated glitchy generative project at the time. There was, I believe, Invisible Friends was animated. I believe Let's Walk is also animated, but there was nothing like Cranium. So I thought, I'm gonna go ahead and try to create something that hasn't been done before, people because I think innovating is important. Now, innovating is hard because people are not always gonna understand it, but that's what innovation means. Just taking steps that people sometimes are not gonna understand for for the time being. But Craniums was to give back to Crypto Calaveras, which was an early project I was part on, but we ended up failing the holders because we promised a lot of things that we didn't deliver. So I always felt bad. People were always asking like, so what are you gonna do now? So I promised to make something for Crypto Calavera holders, and that's where Craniums came into play. And I still think that they are pretty cool. The Craniums, they are. At the time, it was scary because there was I didn't know if OpenSea could handle all the animations. It's 50 traits of each. It's 50 different animations of 3 loops in like 15 different categories. That's an insane amount of traits. And animations as well, animation frames. So the size of the whole project was insane. I didn't know it was possible to do this, but I'm glad that OpenSea just released them, and they look good. They loop well. So that was my main concern. It was a crazy time. It took a year to create those, and it was stressful. But I'm glad they're alive on the blockchain.
Yeah, they look amazing. Well done. 1,800 hand-drawn frames, 42 unique one-of-one pieces. Glad they get to live on OpenSea forever, and you didn't overload and break their system.
Yeah, it was crazy. I didn't know what was going to happen at the time. I just it was done through Bueno, which is a platform that also helps artists to facilitate in the creation of generative art projects, which is also again pushing the envelope and just doing something special for something that hasn't been done before. And I really like companies that specialize in not only making profit but also delivering something that's ahead of its time. Like what I said about oncyber, it's so ahead of its time. That's what happens when you innovate. It's ahead of its time. It takes a while to take off, but you just gotta keep delivering. And as long as there's passion in it, you're gonna keep doing it, regardless of the followers, regardless of the sales, regardless of the engagement. So that's a good thing.
Well said. Thank you for the kind words, by the way. And I do know we're about an hour into this tour. It's probably 1 a.m. in Japan for you. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I would like to maybe open it up for a few questions from the audience. I know we've got a lot of listeners in here. It's a great turnout so far. If you're open to it, we could do that. Unless you have to go, then we can maybe start wrapping things up. Just trying to get a feel for your time.
Oh, no worries at all.
All right, great. Well, if anybody wants to go ahead and send some requests in, we could bring you up, ask some questions to Ray or to myself. And yeah, okay, I see the first one coming in. We got Brad Stratomus. Hey, Brad.
Yo, what's up, Ray? What's up, Tony?
GMFR.
GM. Finally get to meet you virtually. I did the most meta thing ever during this interview. I convinced my wife. We opened up one of your in real life artworks, and she's letting me put it in our kitchen. So I just wanted to say thank you, because this entire conversation and hearing your thought process opened her up to put this in our kitchen.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm glad.
I love that so much. That's the value of these artist interviews and these gallery tours that we do. Just giving people a new perspective, giving them a chance to connect with some of their favorite artists. So love to hear that, Brad. Which piece is it?
I'm going to mess the name up because I don't speak Spanish, but Ray, it's, I think, the Demonios de la Ignorancia. Like there, I'll post a picture after we hang it in just a second. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's an actual physical painting that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Brad. I
Thanks,
appreciate you coming up and asking the question.
I appreciate you, Brad. Thank you so much.
Yes. Yeah, anybody else that would like to come up, go ahead and send in some requests. In the meantime, I will ask you a couple of more questions. I'm not seeing any requests, but so inspiration. You said that, Jackson Pollock, his Summertime Number 9A, was a pretty significant inspiration for you. What was it about Pollock's style or technique that resonated with you, and how is that kind of reflected in your own work?
I don't know. It's been what, 15 years since that happened, and I'm still. Yesterday I went to a museum here in Japan, and there was one of Jackson Pollock's early works, and it still hits. It's the only artist that hits hard to me. In like the connection is there. I still feel when I look at Jackson Pollock's works, I still feel the same feeling that I felt 15 years ago at the Tate Modern. It just connects. It strikes something. To me it's freedom. It's expression. It's liberty. It's life. It's just so full of life and so full. It's like music. There's rhythm in it. There's so much soul into, and it takes guts. It takes courage to create something like this, like what Pollock did. That to this day people still hate it. A lot of people still hate it, and a lot of people still don't understand. So this is to me what I admire in Pollock's works. It's just it embodies to me what being an artist truly is. Just being true to yourself, to what you want to create, what you want to showcase, and never caring about other people's opinions, critics' opinions, and being courageous, following your own path, being true to your own destiny.
I love that advice. And I guess, while we're on the topic of it, what advice would you give to any aspiring artists who admire your journey and want to make their mark in the art world?
I would say, with each work, get to know who you are as a person. Get to find out your fascinations in life and try to incorporate those fascinations into your works without ever giving a fuck about what anybody thinks. Parents, teachers, critics, politicians, whatever, Don't care about any of them. To just do your own thing, because art is freedom, and people are always trying to censor freedom. So follow your own rules, create your own world. There are no rules other than the ones that you create for yourself. So understand that art is freedom, but freedom in a sense that it's boundless. It's without restrictions. It's personal. It's for you. It's only for you, and nobody can tell you what to do with your life. So it's your life. So go your own way. That would be my advice. Just follow your own path without listening to anyone.
That's a beautiful message. Really great advice. Thank you for sharing that. Ray, it's really been a pleasure. Thank you so much for partaking in this amazing artist interview and gallery tour. Love your curation, love your artworks. Before we start wrapping things up, is there any other thing in the gallery that you wanted to touch on, or maybe anything that we should be on the lookout in terms of work that you'll be releasing, or anything you wanted to highlight?
No, nothing at all. It's just I appreciate all of you stopping by and sharing some time with me and with the works. And thank you for looking at them, because if there's no one to look at the art is dead. So I appreciate that, because you make the works come to life and have meaning and utility, as we say in this space again. So thank you. I just like to say thank you.
Much love, Ray. We really appreciate you. Thank you again so much for this amazing tour. Thank you to all of our amazing listeners. This has been just an